The next item is item number 5, and this is an application for a certificate of appropriateness at 110 Schermerhorn Street, the Friends Meeting House and Individual Landmark, docket number 15-6701, block 169, lot 9, a meeting house with Greek Revival and Italianate style elements attributed to Charles T. Bunting and built in 1857. This is an application to replace windows.
Preservation staff. The item before you is for 110 Schermerhorn Street, the Friends Meeting House Individual Landmark. This building is located on the southeast corner of the intersection of Schermerhorn Street and Boron Place. The proposal is to selectively replace window sashes throughout the facade. The historic wood brick mold and framing at the exterior perimeter of the windows will remain. This proposal is before the commission today because the applicant is proposing to change the operation of the sashes, which cannot be reviewed under the staff level rules. The commission should also note that the remaining windows not included in this proposal were replaced under a permit that was issued by the commission in 2000. The project applicant, Carlos Tejada, is here to further explain the proposal and answer your questions.
Thank you, Emma.
So this is an image of what it's the intention is to replace all the lower sashes with hopper style, because at the moment the users can't operate them easily. They're kind of heavy and hard to use, and there's also the space has on the lower floor is used as a school. So it's being used more frequently, and there's issues also of heating and, well, there's no cooling, there's only heating at the moment. So the applicants want to put in double pane windows because they're all single pane, so get better thermal efficiency, and also be able to operate the windows with a lever, which would be located on the side, so they could just pull the lever and the window would just tilt. Note this is what the windows will be replicated in dimension. The only change will be the operation of the lower. This is what they would look like. This is a montage. I'm not sure what is that. And this is what they would look like in operation. So as you notice, they're all open.
So it's only those three front windows?
There's the 3 front windows.
ones.
Yeah. These are the windows that are in the application. The 3 on the top, the 2 on the sides, on the Boron Place side, the 2, well, 1 on top, and these 3 at the bottom.
And so the top sash, that is fixed?
The top sash is fixed, yes.
And is there a reason why you're not doing all the windows?
Well, the rest have been done.
I see, okay. And they all, so the ones that have been done is in the same way, are they,
No,
they're not,
the ones
they're
that were
operable or
done,
not? Yep.
They are operable and they are double hung.
They're
Where
double
the top
hung.
is fixed, and the top is fixed and the bottom is fixed.
I see.
So now, once they're all done, and they're side by side, the new ones with the old ones, are there dimensional changes that will
No.
highlight the new ones? Will there really, will there be
It'd be hard to,
visual
it'd
differences
be
that you'll
very
be able
difficult
to
to
see?
tell because since under this application, evidently these would be newer, but it would be same.
And even the center,
Yes, even
Meeting.
among the center meeting area. These are details of each one of the windows. And yeah, we're replicating, the window manufacturer is replicating the dimension of each one. Oh, so, sorry, this is existing, and
And
this
you
is
have
the
one to
proposed.
show, you have an existing one? This is the existing one?
This
This
is
is the
the
proposed.
existing,
Uh-huh.
and this is the proposed.
So it seems
it's a
that
little
the inner
thicker.
frame is thicker,
Yes, it has to be thicker, correct.
of course.
See, that's what I'm
That's-
actually
it
talking
is a
about.
problem.
is that what-
Right.
I'm
But
talking
from the-
visually,
oh,
I mean,
see.
you can, sometimes you can see that thickness, and the
Yes.
thickness is what makes the difference. So especially on the side where you have the 1 and then you have the 3, are you sure that that's?
No.
Right, one elevation, you're changing all the windows, right, or on the second, right.
Okay, sorry.
So on the side elevation, this one, right, there's only one window, yeah, that's on Borum Place, you're
Right,
only changing
right,
one
the bottom
window.
place, yeah.
So,
That one is already, it's two double hung stacked on each other. So what happens is so you're going to get
Because even in this photograph, I mean, this,
Oh, you can see it's a
this
little
montage,
bit
I
there.
guess,
yeah.
it does show up as different. And so on the bottom, they're all new or something?
Can't be double or something.
Huh?
These are two doubles, and this one will tilt.
Okay.
Yeah. They only tilt in 9 inches
Mhm.
maximum.
so even when they're operable, they're not, it's
Yeah,
not.
it'll be hard to really see that.
Other questions?
Yeah, just the other question I have has to do with the glazing itself.
Uh-huh.
Were the windows that were replaced, were they replaced with an antique glass? Or what kind of glass is this? And the ones that you propose as well?
Sorry.
What is the glazing that you're proposing?
Yeah, the glazing was replaced. It wasn't replaced with the old low iron glass. Is that
The antique glass, I mean, or
Yeah,
however they're
yeah,
describing it, yeah.
Yeah, but we had, the window manufacturer has proposed to match the glazing, exactly, so yes, it doesn't look like, clear, green, or the glazing will match. So, yeah, but since they've been replaced, pretty much match the glass.
Other questions and comments? All right, thank you. We'll take public testimony. Christabel? Guff?
Morning. Christabel Goff for the Society for the Architecture of the City. The LPC has approved this ultra-insulated window product in several private houses in historic districts, despite the difference in operation and to some extent in dimensions. Would this be the first use in an individual landmark? And in that case, an individual landmark whose windows in their simplicity are a defining feature. There are many modern and traditional strategies for energy conservation, and we hope alternatives will be explored before the visual character of this historic building is transformed by the change. Thank you.
Thank you. Barbara Zay?
Barbara Zay of the Historic Districts Council. One of the great features of historic public buildings like this one is the openness achieved by their operational double-hung windows. While the installation of triple-glazed windows would not change the building's exterior appearance, the openings would be restricted and ventilation drastically reduced. It seems a shame to lose the functional aspect of these windows. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any more speakers? All right, we've received a recommendation from Community Board 2. They recommend to approve this application. Are there any other questions for the applicant? We can close the hearing. Okay. Yes, you have, yes.
Okay, so I'm
Yes.
just a little troubled still because
Right,
of the
right.
appearance and because it is an individual landmark. So I guess I want to ask if, in terms of, we're changing the operation because it wasn't easy to open or it wasn't possible to open them as double hung? And I'm just asking why.
Yes, would you like to come forward and
I
respond?
guess I'm just wanting to make sure that we actually have to do this, because I think that this is highly noticeable and is a,
It's being changed because, yes, it's difficult to, it's tough to open at the moment by the users and also for energy efficient reasons. Note that the glazing is only going to 2, not 3. So just
so they were single pane before, so if you had replaced it with a single pane, I mean a double paned, but double hung, easier to open window, wouldn't that also, so I'm saying that I think that visually the difference.
But the way the operation works with these is, in the double hung, you would have to kind of grab them, and these windows, each sash is about 7 foot.
And there are no,
So
no
one
ways
person
to open.
doing, So the operation would be, there's a lever right here, which would be at easily, readily accessible height. So you would pull the lever, and that would force basically the hopper to tilt open, and then evidently when they want to close it. So it could easily be done because, again, the size and just, even if you were to get a good mechanism, it would still be a little challenging to open. It's doable, but it would be rough. And considering at the moment they don't have a way to cool the building, these windows do get a little bit of, kind of used.
So in effect, the three windows that were previously replaced, do you never open those windows? Is that what happens as a practical matter?
It gets used only when they have a lot of people in there, and then evidently they'll get it together.
Are we talking screens too?
No screen.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry.
Yes. Oh, do you want to respond to any of the comments that were made by members of the public?
Considering again, the idea that yes, efficiency, we are going for efficiency just because it's a great opportunity to introduce that. We're trying to keep the character and minimize the change of the character by the operation, which in some sense was what was available, and was also the operation kind of dictated more the way, the ease of use, dictated the operation, because the levers allowed us to use the windows, to operate the windows that way. Outside of that, we're not going for triple pane, so the windows aren't that
Going to be
much
thick,
big.
right.
Yeah, we're only going for double pane.
All right. Any other questions? Yes, Adi?
Can we turn to, is there an elevation of, okay, that elevation? I think, to go to your comment, an elevation needs to show accurately, and visibly, the changes in the dimensions to the mullions and the new windows as compared to the others, because the facade will read, and we don't see it in this drawing. So maybe we can request that. If those shifts are not dramatic or not visible at all, then we'll know that. But I just think that I don't know that these elevations are expressing what's really going to be going on
Right.
there.
If you can go back to those elevations for a moment. If you look at the elevation on Schermerhorn Street, and you have the three windows that are above, which are changing, you've shown them in a particular way, and then you have the Borum Place elevation, and you have one window that's on the second floor that's being shown, and the elevation of that looks different from the other three. So why is there a difference? If you look at the Schermerhorn elevation, is that the existing one and that's proposed? But see, there's that thickness over there.
This
Yes.
window is different than the other.
Okay, I
And the
understand.
reason being is that that's where the stairs are. The
I
thickness
see.
represented by the middle, where the two windows, stacked windows meet, is the platform where the stair landing.
Okay, I think that's what,
You can see.
even Roberta was responding
Well, yeah,
to.
so It's the existing, is there a photo of the existing now?
Yes.
So the existing
Yes, here it
window
is.
is different from the other three
This
windows?
is the
on that
existing.
side.
Just
Right.
that
Okay,
one.
so there's a
Correct.
mezzanine, so that
That
requires
encompasses
the thickness
stair
of that.
landing. Correct, it's not, it wasn't.
No, I understand that that's a different window and that was changed at some point. I'm asking, if we go forward with the kind of windows that you're proposing, we need to see how that lower panel with 8 separate panels in it is going to look different from its upper panel, because it'll have a thicker mullion around it in order for the operational system to work. And those will also be different from the windows that you're not modifying. So none of that shows up in the elevation at this point, in the
This is
overall
This
elevation.
is the proposed window.
So that's the proposed
That's the
window on
proposed
Schermerhorn,
window for that one, yeah.
but not, so there are 2 different windows, right? Because you're saying that the one at the stair is thicker even than this, right? So this is,
one window along
The
Schermerhorn.
stair jam is behind here, and this is one, and this is the other. What's tilting is this portion, sorry, in. And so is this one, like all the rest, basically.
Right, I think what Commissioner is asking about is in these elevations, as you've shown the dimensions of these individual pieces, are they accurate? Because, okay. Because if you look at the section, so of this versus the existing,
Oh, I see, yeah.
if you go back to the existing and you see the section, not this one, I think there's another one which is
This is the one.
this,
that's key.
right? So this is the existing, and you see where you have, I'm going to point it here. This portion over here,
Right,
this
correct.
thickness over here, and then if you show the next elevation, section
you had
of the
them on
proposed, it looks,
This is,
yes. So isn't that thicker over there in the front?
It's showing us 2 inches, right, and it's saying, you're positing that it's going to be the same. The only change it looks like between those 2 drawings is the addition of a vertical stop, the lower sash, that's within this exact same dimension as the
Okay.
overall assembly of the current setup. So the actual, correct me if I'm wrong, but the
Okay.
actual glass dimensions are absolutely 1,000% identical to the existing.
I would not say that they're 1,000.
The dimensions show that. The dimensions assert that.
Yes,
That's all.
yes, yeah. I mean, the window
Right.
manufacturer has
Um,
kind of counting that.
My feeling that even if there's a small difference, I think in the elevation that's on Schermerhorn, it is so, and because it's consistent, it's not discernible. When you look at Borum Place, the window where I think all of us are sort of responding to is not driven by the change in the operation of the window, but more because there's a mezzanine, and that's interfacing with that. So I think that, in my opinion, it seems that there are practical reasons why they would like to change the window, and I think that it's very much in keeping with the windows as they are right now. I don't see it as discernible. Yes?
I would respectfully dissent from that opinion. I think that in an individual landmark, the operation counts, number one. Number two, in the past, when we've approved these hopper-type or awning-type windows for buildings in a district, they have almost always been in the context of a passive house, super-duper energy-efficient kind of project. That is not, as far as I can tell, the case here. And third, there are alternatives to this. As noted, I mean, they could go to triple glazed double hungs, and they'd get a better insulation, way better insulation out of it than you would with the hopper, which is a double glazed hopper in this case. And I think in terms of the operability issue, I would defer to others who have greater expertise on this matter, but my guess is that you could get a counterweighted double hung window, contemporary, with a good glide, that could be lifted with one hand, and you would preserve the operation of the window.
All right. I was just responding to I think the arguments that the applicant has put forward about the practical issues of these windows, which as a double hung have certain limitations given its weight and its size. The fact that they want some utility and ventilation into, I believe the lower level is a school, and I think we're talking about an institution versus a residential building. And I think while the operation has an effect on the elevation, and these historically it wasn't that, but it seems that there'll be those few situations where it will tilt. It's not a complete tilt, it has a certain level. And I think that as a commission, we should just be open to the fact that sometimes preservation will butt up against practicalities, new types of windows, the ability for institutions to want to improve those conditions and be flexible to that without, in fact, eroding the character or what is really significant in our historic designations. Yes.
Can I follow that? So I know this building very well. It's only a few blocks from where I live, and I probably see it at least once a week for the 42 years that I've lived in my current house. So I think the conversation around the table is relevant, and the individual landmark issue is important, and so is the character of this building as it sits in its streetscape. It sits in a way that is very visible, and increasingly the scrum of new stuff all around it makes this building even more special, it seems to me. And to not erode its character, I think, is fundamental, even in a very respectful window replacement like this is. But I also agree with the chair's position that, in my judgment, the minor changes of visual character of these windows should be respected as an appropriate intervention and change to make the building live on, to make the building responsive to the needs of its inhabitants. And to me, the visual changes are so minor as to not in any way interfere with the overall character of the building. So that's my position, but I respect that others might have other positions on this subject, and the building is important enough to have this robust discussion.
Other comments? Yes.
I agree, and these windows are about some of the most conspicuously beautiful windows in the city, so let's just be careful with them.
Yes.
So I understand that, yes, we have to make changes when, there's someone using the building, even though it's a landmark, we have to be practical. But I guess I'm still not convinced that these changes are as imperceptible as I think that they should be. And so I think that for me, I would want to see a little bit more information, maybe some clarifications on the drawings as presented, maybe even comparing the existing and the proposed on the same sheet so that we can actually see. And I guess I would like to just maybe have information that shows that there is no possible way to do a double hung big window, because I can't believe that things haven't improved in like 50 years, that it's now impossible. I can't believe that it's not possible to open even a big window in some way that a person can do without a lot of effort. So I'm not convinced.
Okay. Other comments? Any other comments?
I'm in agreement with that, all of those points.
All right. So it seems that why don't we ask the applicant to come back? And all right. So I think what would be helpful to the commission are two or three things. One is, I think, if you can provide us with a clear explanation as to why, for whatever reasons, you cannot do the double hung windows and the operability, which is historic. So that's one thing. You've replaced three other windows along Borum Place, and why aren't you looking at that in terms of the other windows? So I think you have to document to us why that doesn't work. And in that context, I know that Commissioner Goldblum had said that you can have different kinds of windows with different levers, and if you want to
I
just...
mean, a classic, an old-fashioned double-hung window had
The weight.
counterweights, and that made it, that defrayed the weight. And my guess is that the reason these windows are operating poorly is that either the counterweights are not working, or the wood has swelled, that they're maintenance related. And if one got a really good quality counterweighted window, it should be relatively easy to lift.
Right, so if you can sort of explore that as well. And I think the other thing would be helpful is just to truly clearly dimension what the existing historic windows are in terms of its mullions, its muntins, and show us what the proposed is so we can have a clear understanding. I think the other thing is just in terms of operability, given that this is a historic, this is an individual designation, I think it would be helpful to us to understand just how much you anticipate the usage of these windows being open. I think in your presentation to us, you noted that the lower level, which is being used as the school, is really where you want more operability. And maybe as a practical matter, that's where you want to see that. The windows on the second floor, the double-height windows, may be less important to operate. In other words, it's only used when, in fact, there are huge number of crowds, and therefore, the problem of opening those windows may come into effect much more rarely. So it may be a case that those windows, which are the most prominent, you're actually going back to the historic window type of operability, which is the double-hung windows. So I'd like you to go back and consider that. So, because the lower ones, I think, are in fact more obscured by other things that are happening on the street. The ones that are on the second and third floor level are the ones that really are very prominent. So maybe there's a compromise here, and we'd like you to come back and explain that to us.
Can I ask
Yes.
one more thing?
Right.
I thought Addie's question about the glass, the antique glass, was a very, I mean, to me, that might change. I can't remember, is the existing glass that you would be replacing antique glass? I mean, you know, is it?
No, to match, no, the glass that is being replaced will match the last renovation.
Yeah, but the windows that you're taking out, those three windows on the facade of the building, is that old glass that has great character?
Oh, I would say yes and no, because some have been replaced, some are, you know, it's
Over time, they're not all...
Yeah, they're not all.
Okay, well, I don't know what we do about this, but to me, in my eye, says that might be more important than, you know, an inch of change in the meeting rail of, you know, of a heavy or meeting rail to allow a double.
You can get that stuff nowadays, and if the
So-
staff could just look at it and
Yeah, I
determine.
think in this case, I mean, Chris Moore's point that these are among the most beautiful windows. You said the city, right?
Yes, sir.
All 5 boroughs, right? So that alone then suggests to me that we ought to look at the glass as well, since you're coming back. So look at the whole thing.
Okay? All right. Thank you so much.